Okay, now recording's in progress. Man, it's been a really long time, and I always enjoy when you and I sit down. But this one's a little special because lots of things have happened since, especially like the beginning of the year. And it wasn't that energies didn't change prior to that, but something happened then. And I want to hear your take on it because you've been kind of underground for a little while, and it's time for people to kind of get caught up on what you've been doing. And then we'll share the pictures that you kind of advanced to me, and
Oh yeah.
you can lend some narration to it. But I want to kind of give people an idea where, in some of the exchanges I've been having since the last time you and I talked, I've been referring to the instance where you had your two buddies that came to visit, and where we came to the realization that, oh my God, we see ourselves as ambassadors, but those are their ambassadors. And they're here to kind of kumbaya, and set the ground rules because contact is imminent. We just need to get our vibrations right in the right spots. And here we go. You're evidence of it. I'm evidence of it. So we ought to start bringing it into our realities because it's coming soon. So with
Well,
that,
thank you very
data
much.
dump, Dave, come on in.
Thank you. I'm coming in with both barrels today. I've had a lot of really positive experiences starting on February 1st. And, I don't know, there's something that I'm able to do which keeps me pretty happy 99.9% of the time. A lot of that goes back to my initial contact with KymJym in 2017, my cerebral neural realignment, and the cleansing that I had, and all the past life awakenings and cleansing. So all of that's just been so tremendous as a benefit to my continued life. But the energy, so let's just talk about this as a physicist's point of view or an astrophysics point of view. When that song from the 60s about the dawning of the age of Aquarius, which is a great song. My son loves it. He's 26 and he plays it all the time. But they knew, and astrologers have known for many years, that Aquarius, which is the sign of the water bringer, who is the great sort of very physically fit giant being that carries an amphora that's so large that, it could fill all the oceans and lakes on the world. But the metaphor of Aquarius bringing water is very powerful. It's very powerful because cleansing also is represented by change. And so we left Pisces, which was the end of the zodiac wheel of very powerful planetary alignments for the last 12,000 years. And we will be in Aquarius for 1,000 years. So what everyone in the community, and I use the word community loosely, and I'm not using the word ascension anymore, but if you bring that up in a little bit, I'll tell you why. But we're fully, as a physicist, I can look at the planetary movements. The planet Earth in the spiral arm in that section of our galaxy is fully pulled away from a lot of the old galactic placements of constellations and planetary bodies that are in their own Goldilocks zone. And that sort of equinox and that balance, the equilibrium that those stationary bodies, which is known as sort of like a Lagrange point when we send a satellite out like the SOHO to observe the sun. Lagrange mathematics are not that difficult. It's pretty complex geometry, but it's easy to understand once you get the numbers right. But there's this point where there's enough pull from the other planets and enough pull from the sun for that geosynchronous satellite to remain in place. And that's the Lagrange point. And we have Lagrange point observational satellites all throughout our solar system. The planet is no longer being protected by many of these stationary, enormous planetary systems and galactic systems, which include constellations. I know that many of you who are listening to this will start to feel the energy from Cygnus, the swan, and many of the other stationary cosmological star bodies like Hercules and Orion, they're shifting a little bit. The Pleiades is now shifting a little bit. And we're starting to receive influence more from the central sun of the galaxy. With the benefits of the central sun also come the negatives. But remember that everything in life, whether it's spiritual or physical, has to have balance. So as we receive negativity, we also received a gift. Sometimes a gift comes cloaked, and we have to see through the cloak that's around it because it at first appears negative, oftentimes like learning about ourselves or something that is distasteful to our spiritual growth. But that cloak can be pulled away and you'll receive the gift. The Galactic Central Sun is a reflector also. So when you send an image from your mind or a prayer, or if you send a collective psychic message from 5, 10, 15, 20, or 100 of your friends who all get together to hold hands and say a prayer, when we develop that geocentric prayer circle, then that energy is released from the tops of our heads like the seventh chakra, like a crown of energy that you can't see that goes straight up into outer space. We can concentrate that beam from our crown and direct it towards the galactic central sun. There isn't a giant black hole, and mainstream science wants you to believe that. There's an enormous sun that controls everything. It controls the nature and the movement of our Milky Way galaxy. Our planet is now positioned and is slowly continuing to creep out to become exposed all the more. What we need to do during this period of transition until we're locked into the middle section of Aquarius, which is over the next 100 years, is what we need to do is we need to remember to constantly send out a very powerful surge of kindness and love and direct it towards the central sun. I was recently contacted, as the photographs that you have that we'll show in a few minutes. I was recently contacted both by KymJym, who was my initial contact, but several other species that I haven't met, but were contacting me because I can hear them, all asked me to talk about a couple of things. One of them is when we send out a group prayer or when we send out a group message, that we must direct it to the central sun, because not only will that be reflected back 10,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 times more strongly, but what you send out right now is very crucial over the next 100 years. I know that seems like a long period of time, but really it's not. It's a very short period of time. But global concentration, using the power of thought and the power of our minds as a collective for good, as a collective for love and healing, will have very dramatic effects, because that energy will be reflected back from the sun tenfold. And so you don't have to ask for abundance. All you have to do is pray for the better things in life. You see, abundance is the same as love, compassion, and healing. Abundance may come in the form of, a bag full of money or a new job or an advantage that helps you because you're doing some good work. But abundance truly is love and kindness, forgiveness and charity, harmony, and all the beautiful things that prove that we're a species that's worth evolving. KymJym told me directly through a CLPT, a continuous light pulse flash, that there are other planets just like ours that are going through a pre-industrial revolution and a post-industrial revolution, just like the planet Earth. We are in a stage now, since we are now conscious of Gaia's spirit and listening to Gaia's needs and developing those changes in our own interpersonal lives, where we no longer produce pollution through chemicals, pollution through toxins, pollution through pharmaceuticals, pollution through toilet cleaners or Vanish drop-ins or Glade plugins or any of those horrible things. We've stopped using those things, and we're now growing our own food and thinking about love and compassion more. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. We've entered Aquarius, but we haven't fully entered it yet. So as we struggle to attain the dawning of great change and great cleansing through the waters of the vessel of Aquarius. We have to remember to always not ask for things to adorn ourselves, but to consider our friends and neighbors, to consider the planetary bodies around us and our friends and neighbors on other planets. There are some species that are very similar to humans who are struggling. KymJym also told me that there are so many hundreds of worlds like Earth between here and the center of the Milky Way. Some of them have already destroyed themselves with nuclear weapons. Some species do not make it. And it's a very sad thing. KymJym, however, said that if we start concentrating our minds on listening to the message of life and listening to the message of love from the planet's center, from the heart of Gaia, we can then transmute and translate that energy through the crowns of our seventh chakra. As that energy leaves the Earth, it will pass past many planets who are suffering right now. So if you guys want to do a simple prayer, just say, we, the people of Earth, send the message of Gaia. We, the people of Earth, send the message of love and healing from Gaia. May our message pass past your planet on its way to message the Galactic Central Sun. May this message of love and healing reach your people. We, the people of Earth, understand and we love you. And that's really just a simple prayer. But what you can do is help so many thousands of species who are before where we're at evolutionarily, and to help people that are after where we're at evolutionary, because we must end the egocentric belief that we are singles and that we're the only ones in this quadrant. There are many humanoids and many humans living on other planets in between here and the Galactic Central Sun that need our divine energy. Now, I'll mention really quickly why I'm no longer using the word ascension. And Lowell, you and I have spoken in the past about the parody almost of overwrought language and overwrought words that are used to support the spiritual aspects of the awakened community. But it's almost to a moot point where they've been used so many times over and over again by people in the awakening process that they've almost lost their meaning. So we're all on an evolutionary quest moving forward. When we start to evolve again, right now human beings have disrupted the evolutionary process with the enormous amount of petrochemicals, enormous amount of artificial fertilizers and sprays. Really, it's just all got to stop. And this is what we all must be thinking about, is the end of the use of all plastics, the end of use of all petrochemicals. If you have a weed in your driveway that's persistent, all you got to do is boil your tea kettle and pour boiling water on that weed, and it'll never come back. So really, we need to wake up all the way. So I don't use ascension anymore because it's been bandied about by people who are using the term against people who are waking up. They are taking pride in saying, I am in ascension, you are in ascension, we are ascended. KymJym's asked me to reach out to all of the ambassadors, and you are an ambassador of Telos. So now I'm going to share this with you, as I've shared it with Vivian Chauvet, as I've shared it with Mary Edwards, as I've shared it with Sheila Seppi. The message is this: you are not in ascension, you have ascended. He also said that they are very, very busy. KymJym's very proud of everybody and the work that we're doing. You know, Alex Collier, very proud of Alex. Mary Rodwell, very proud of Mary. Because these are also all people that have a lot of good spiritual information and intellectual information to help us throughout our awakening process. So KymJym's very proud of all of us, and he wanted me to tell you that directly. And also because of the nature of my communication, he's in my mind. And so when I am of mind with him, he sees all of the conduits which lead to all of my friends. And when he finds your spirit, which exists within me, he follows that light to you. And so he knows all of my friends. And this is the way that he does this. There's a lot of people that have heard his name that have been reaching out to him that he doesn't listen to. And it's because he's very busy, and he loves all of them very much. He loves all humanity very much. But there's certain people that he only communicates to because he can see the beam of light that comes from the top of your head. The relationship that many of the species from other worlds have with their ships is very intimate. There's a few techno beings, and I don't think mantids have the same connection as some of the Homo habilis style, the humanoid style beyond Earth sentience, the ones that have, fingers and toes that walk erect. And the many different shaped skulls and the many different shaped bodies and the frailty of some of these different species does not deny or change their ability to place their hands on the control panel of their ship. And in doing so, create a biotechnological connection where the ship almost has a highly tuned sense of emotions and can feel their enzymatic exchange and the electrical balances coming from their mind, because the ships are very, very attuned and very intelligent. You see, no matter how clever and how ancient many of these beyond Earth sentients are, the rigors of deep stellar space when traveling beyond the speed of light are very dangerous, and they must develop technology in the ships that can prescriptively see these things coming at them while they are still attending to items of their day. So it's very important for us to realize that when they fly around the planet, they don't have to be in our atmosphere. They can be 5,000 miles above the Earth in space within our local group, but their ship, according to the need of the beyond Earth sentient, will sense that light needle that comes from the sentient human and gravitate towards that needle so that it passes into the ship. My friend KymJym then uses that ability to follow and trace that light beam down to find that special human.
Everybody has a frequency.
Correct. Now, the idea about frequencies and the way you discharge your own enigmatic electrical frequency, or your spiritual plasma, as I like to call it, because again, another word that's being overused is electromagnetism. We really, we're not creating a gyroscope or any kind of like machine. So we need to get away from electromagnetic as an excuse to describe the sort of infinite, unbelievable energy that comes from all life. So there is a word for it. We can call it enigmatic plasma. So this message from our soul reaches the very highest parts of heaven. This is why we cast our gaze upon heaven to speak to God. And so God hears, and then God responds according to the harmonic of our soul and the harmonic of our hearts. And if you've got to the point where you've trained your mind to filter out your terrestrial needs, again, the same thing comes up from my friends from other planets. Human beings must stop concentrating on sex, food, and money, or money, food, sex, or food, food, sex, or sex, sex, sex. But it's these three conditions that human beings are so used to seeing all of the time that they've been trained or conditioned to be verbose about food, sex, and money. And that's why, there's 100 cable programs on food. There's probably 1,000 porno channels on sex. And money, again, money does not exist. Money does not exist. It is another form of
energy.
It's a form of control.
Energy.
It's a form of control, but it doesn't exist. Therefore, you shouldn't allow it to destabilize you emotionally. So you see, sex is for procreation, food is for surviving, and money is for exchanging things. But we spend way too much time thinking about them. So I'd like human beings to stop concentrating on those things just for a little while. Right? Because they're all attainable. There are 3 things you can get anytime you want. So why are you thinking about it all the time? So these 3 aspects of human existence in this dimension must be erased so that you have clear sight, clear vision, clear cognition, and a clear ability to send that harmonic from your heart to the sky. They will read your feelings and follow them down to you. It does no good to sit there and go, oh, KymJym, save me, because I know you saved David, so save me. He's not listening. He hasn't the time. And that's what he came down to tell me about when I saw him January 7th. When they send me a a light pulse sense a group of emissions from ships, they download and assimilate, and it takes me just less time now. It used to take almost a month to assimilate a download of light flashes. Now I know what they're saying instantaneously. So I have a lot of work to do, but not as much as KymJym. Right now they're building or just finishing an enormous platform on the backside of Saturn. And there's many species who are in trouble. It's not just Earth. So they want you and I and the rest of the ambassadors to pick up the slack. He said, stop using the word ascension. You're not an ascension anymore. You've ascended. He goes, I want you to turn up the heat a little bit, crank up your rheostat. He expects all of us to be doing more healing. He expects all of us to be thinking better thoughts more of the time than we have been. And we really must concentrate on that space between our ears, because once we finally clear away the clutter of terrestrial value systems, then we'll be able to concentrate on that which is real. So the second part of the message that he gave me was that he's giving you and he's giving the other people I've mentioned a gift. And it's coming from the Taurus cloud. It's coming from the Galactic Council of Scientists, who I represent. I'm a Taurus ambassador for the Taurus cloud. And the gift comes from them because when I originally had my meeting in 2017, we discussed all those terrible things that were happening on the planet that they didn't know about. That's why they had myself and 60 other human beings bear witness. And those thoughts were produced up onto those giant screens, and everybody sat aghast at the whale beachings and the fracking and everything else, the political corruption and the starvation. So KymJym told me some very, very sad and very scary things that are occurring on the earth right now. And they're things that I'm still putting into perspective, so I won't be repeating them. But he said that we're very, very fortunate. He said the people in America are so fortunate that we have lost the vision of how fortunate we are, and to remain grateful and to remain in gratitude every day. And if we remain in gratitude every day, then it won't be difficult to worry about our behavior. If we find the way by being mindful of our presence and mindful of our thoughts at all times, then we don't have to worry about how we're perceived. We no longer need to worry about if we were misjudged a month ago or 6 months ago or a year ago, because we are living in that pure mindfulness of complete love, of complete healing, and complete acceptance, to let all of the terrestrial value systems go because they no longer mean anything to us. We no longer need anything. We just need a roof over our head and enough to survive on, because our job has to be turned up, Lowell. We really have to start cranking out the love, cranking out the healing, and being able to be patient and listening to other people. Now, other people are going through a awakening process. I choose not to call it ascension anymore because it's been bandied about too much, and it no longer holds the weight that it once did 5 years ago. We don't need words to define our experience, but we do need to accept and feel the experience and then translate it.
Yeah. Well,
so
you
go ahead.
touched exactly on what people really need to start to pay attention to and reach beyond your 5 little senses. You've been conditioned to rely on nothing but that, because the things that you and I experience is because our ethereal field is kicked in. We feel with that. There's where we connect to as much as we choose to connect to. The greater our awareness opens up, the more access we have to the things on the other end, or whatever that connection is. And we're still just scratching the surface of what's being revealed to us. Go.
KymJym said that he's giving us a special gift. And the special gift is for you and the other people that I mentioned, and for many, many other humans. Because this isn't a situation where I'm some erudite middle-class white guy in America who's decided to believe in something bigger than our reality. I've been very successful, so there was no need to escape it, right? I'm a translator. Right. I'm not a healer. I receive messages and I don't bullshit anybody, and I just talk about what I've heard. And that's part of my purpose of being an ambassador is, you know, I'm plaintive, but I'm outspoken. And it's very difficult for people to BS me. But he said the gift would be the power of your mind is about to be increased a lot. He said, should they cast gaze upon an item, that item may be changed by the gaze cast.
This has been in my field for a long time. You and I know we talked about this a long time ago, that somewhere in one of my journeys long ago, I envisioned the ability to just, look at someone's heart and be able to change it. When I look in your eyes, I promise I can already tell what's in your heart. So
Right.
really, that was the thing that I thought, if I was going to get a weapon or weaponize it, and because you
Right.
really can't think of that,
Well, no, and
but
we're
if
not
somebody
allowed to.
wanted
We're
to
not
change
allowed
it,
to.
correct. Oh yeah, we're all sovereign beings. Believe me, I respect that more than most. But
Right.
I wanted to say one thing about KymJym's, step it up remarks, because my guides have been telling me the same thing. It's we all
Of
have
course.
a mastery of something, grab it, forget what you think you've heard from somebody else. Now you're the master, and it's time for you to embody more.
This is correct. You're absolutely correct. And I know that the light beings from Talos, because they are upper dimensional. We'll touch on dimensionality in a minute if you like. But I know the rainbow light beings in that beautiful color blue and that beautiful yellow and that beautiful gold that they shine around you. I know that they're communicating with you through spectral energy. And when you're being bathed in it, because I've seen some of your photographs, when you're being bathed in that spectral light, they are holding your heart. They are communicating with your third eye. They are giving you a hug, and they're reminding you how much you're loved.
Really, those visions are just passing through. I'm a vessel. That's it. Don't call
Right.
me an
And
artist, because I can't
oh
see
yeah,
that. Look at how those things are divinely inspired. And that's where it's coming from. Now, I am meant to help people get visions of what inner earth is really. Here's what to expect, guys. This is what I've seen. And I'm still just straddling dimensions here a little bit, but I've seen enough to be able to come back and report on what I've seen. And this is it.
well, in the greater sense, your experience, my experience, the experience of many of the thousands of other humans, millions of other humans on our world, is to give you hope, because they up in the sky, our friends and who reside in the heavens, they realize the tremendous, terrible efforts that have been perpetrated against the group of humanity by the forces of evil who run the program. They are so sad by that, and they're trying their hardest to tip the thing in our favor. So we're all receiving a gift. Those of you that are listening to this know who you are, and they know you know your abilities. If you're receiving this gift as well, because it's not just our little friendship group of people that you and I associate with, it's everybody.
Well, the tribe is much bigger than this, and some of us just haven't reconnected yet.
Well, so before KymJym came down on was our 3rd anniversary. Before he came down, do you remember me telling you that I was going to spend some time meditating to ask the right questions?
You did.
Well, it's very difficult when you're in presence with a species from another world. When you're in physical presence, they are so powerful. The love comes off that you just, no matter who you are, you just feel like a tiny little baby. And they bring you to their heart and hold you. And they go, there. Because they strip away the evil that's been perpetrated to you when the Great Spirit through Source. And see, we think we're ambassadors. They're ambassadors directly to Source. True. That's why they're here. We have screwed up so bad, they're intervening. They love us so dearly. So when you're in presence with them, you feel as though you're being held to your mother's chest. Now, this very unusual circumstance, because of the amount of love they generate, because they are really pro-life. They love trees, plants, leaves, grass, stones, water, everything. Everything in the universe that's made by Source is a creation of life and is a great, great gift. And they exude that in spades. So something happens to humans, especially ones that were brainwashed. I used to be brainwashed. And when they come to you with this enigmatic energy while they're in presence, physical presence with you, it washes over you almost like a lead blanket, or a thousand feet deep in the sea. And you're
Naya
almost,
said something. I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to make comments because when I hear these things and they connect more dots for me, there was a remark I had made about going to Telos, and this was after the while. And now I've told so many times, like you have, that it's like a shiny bell. It gets your attention when I can really tell you what's next. And she said, no, don't discount that. There was something that was left in your field when you went there, and that's what she picked up on. So I didn't even think of things like that. So that's what happens. And when you went to see KymJym, there were things left in your field that we picked up on, buddy. So when you start to talk about it, we know you were freaking there. It's authentic. We just know because the vibration's already been complete.
right. And plus I've got 600 photographs, and it's like, you know what? You've all been privy to the pictures of the inside of the ship, pictures of my friends that visit. I mean, it's nice too. And the government's backed off too, off of me big time, because they realize I'm not a threat. They realize I'm just talking love. So he said that he wants us to all be very careful. The ambassadors of the earth are all receiving this psychokinetic gift. He wants us to be very careful on how we use it, and they will be watching us. Doesn't matter if it's the Galactic Council of Scientists, it's the Orinids, it's the Vegans, it's all of them. It's the Arcturans. The Arcturans, the Pleiadians are working together very closely right now, and they're watching us. So we're receiving this gift. We'll be receiving it mentally from energy that's being sent down to us. You can't see it, you can't feel it, but in about 30 days from now, you guys, you're going to wake up and you're going to be shining. So this gift of being able to change reality with your eyes is going to be watched by them. So be very careful. Oh, that's a great picture. That's KymJym's ship. He's playing peekaboo with me.
I took a screenshot of the files first, so I got some of your remarks. After that, I just showed the images themselves. So I'll let you take it from there.
There we go. I put my little chef's hat on that. So if you want to, can you make that a little bigger? Can you zoom that up a little? Or there you go. Look at that. Okay. So this is a supermassive craft. He's about probably 2 miles up from the Earth's surface, and he's coming in straight from Hercules. And this is in the evening. And he's playing peekaboo with me. Go ahead and go to one of the other shots of that, because it's
but before we do that, do you want to point out that orb up in the sky?
Oh yeah. Okay. Can you zoom it in again to the orb? All right. So this is him transporting from the ship to me. Okay. And it's a hologram. Oh, there we go. That's him coming into view. Right. And so there's the rain gutter of my neighbor just to the left. I'm looking at my third story, second story balcony over the ocean, and he's just flown in from the south. And that's a great shot. He's right in line. Yeah. He's right in line with Orion in the belt of Hercules.
Rydell is on my radar big time, and I got to figure out why.
That's a great shot. Can you make that bigger?
Yeah, but I don't want to. If I do that, I'm going to lose them. Oh, there we go.
Good. Right there's two of them. Okay, there's one on the right in the tree, and then the one by the rain gutter.
Orb above it.
Yes, and there's an orb as well. So there was actually a period where there was 6 or 7, because I had a whole bunch of people visiting me from other planets. All right, so the guys know when to come in and see me, and it's funny because Toth is KymJym's ambassador, and Toth, I heard him. I'm in the front room preparing my dinner, and I heard him. He goes, "We're here, David. We're here." And so I went out on my balcony. Now that bright light there on the left is actually Venus. And if you look straight ahead down the tree, you see him playing peekaboo behind the tree. Go ahead and zoom in.
Yeah.
That's Venus on the left. Oh, no, now you've gone to a different photo.
Yeah, I know. I'm moving on. So it means something to somebody else seeing it. Hold on. Because you get to a point where it's not just Venus, there are orbs galore in the sky.
Oh, yeah, big time. All right, so there's one of the ships.
That doesn't look like Venus to me. That's a ship.
No, that's not Venus. Go ahead and make it bigger. Keep going. You're good. Great. All right, so go ahead and go to the next one. You had a good shot of that sort of.
Here, yeah, he's moving. You can
Oh yeah.
tell that this is not a star. It's
No,
moving.
that ain't no star, and it ain't no helicopter. Let me tell you, boy.
No, that's right.
There he is. Okay, right there in the tree. Now keep going. It's at the bottom middle of the screen. You'll see that tree next to the rain gutter. That's in the distance.
Yeah.
That's at the end of my. Oh, you got to zoom in to the center.
Where do
of
you
that
want
picture.
me to?
Okay. Now go down. Make the picture go down. And no, that's the wrong way. That's up.
Whoops. This way?
There you go. All right. You see that tree with a light spike coming out of the side of it next to the rain gutter?
Yeah.
All right. Now focus in on that. There you go. So that's KymJym ship. And if you want to just flick through to that other one, you had a good close-up shot of, and that's a different ship.
Yeah. Yeah, let me go back to was it this one? Yeah. Yeah, that's got dimension that you can see from here.
Oh, flick back a few more because you briefly went past it, and it's a real bright triangle with a big black blob under it. That's the one. There you go. All right, so it's a black triangle on top and a plasma blob on the bottom. All right, so this is a giant pyramid ship. It's probably the size of Cheops, and that's a close-up that I took with my camera. And boy, isn't it amazing? They don't come out crystal clear because they vibrate and they radiate, and it really affects modern man technology. No matter how good a camera you have, they can zap your camera. But they did give me permission to take this different picture of it. They did give me permission to take pictures, and that's a great one. So
yeah, that doesn't just, you don't just point your camera at them or your phone and
it doesn't work that way.
There's circumstances that have to be met that we even get to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. There's criteria that takes many years of contact, and they let me know when we're coming. So the visitations that I've received were all occurring between the 1st of February and the 4th. That's a great one. Oh, you just went past it.
There we go. No, I'm trying to find ones that have multiple action. Yes.
Yeah, there's a big orb.
If that's Venus up high, then there's still 2 orbs in this one at least.
Yeah. So it was a nice exchange. So it happened over a period of 4 days. Oh, and there's the government helicopter that soon showed up. And boy, I tell you, those boys in the Army are hilarious. I love them. I have a tremendous respect for the country that we live in. I love America. Not everybody that works for the government's evil. There's a lot of real good people that work for the U.S. government. So I'm real sick of people talking shit about the U.S. government. If I work with a lot of political groups to affect change, and not for some higher sense of wokeism either. I work with government people to find out why they're not getting paid properly. How come there's no money being spent on the EPA or the FDA? It's all being controlled by Monsanto right now. And there's a lot of people in Congress and the state Senate who are receiving private monies from Monsanto to pass all these evil chemicals. And we're sick of it. And we need to hold these people's feet to the iron, to the fire, and make them accountable for their behavior. That's part of our ambassadorial job, is to not worry about the repercussions to us personally. But happily, the men in black have backed way off. And I'm really glad about that, because they know I'm not causing any problems for the U.S. government. I'm just trying to help people. Remember that
I think we've reached a point in disclosure here where more of this stuff's just, it's going to be let go. Because people embrace the idea that these are multi-dimensional experiences, you can't stop that. I don't care what the government thinks that they can do about it. You can't stop me from stepping into the next dimension.
I have to say, it's only disclosure to them, and that's another one of those trigger words that gets me all riled up.
Yeah.
If I just said ascension and disclosure one more time, my head might pop off my body and fly away. I'm so tired of those words. But you're right, and it's disclosure for them. They don't really understand what's going on because of that box they built for themselves that they operate out of. The only way that they know anything that's going on is because they're watching they're watching our shows. They're watching Mary Rodwell. They're watching Laura Eisenhower. They're watching, all these wonderful other people who are healers and contactee to find out what the heck's going on. They don't know. And let me tell you, KymJym and the Galactic Council of Scientists don't have anything to do with the U.S. government. They feel very sorry for them, and they're going to get left behind. I'm telling you, your heart is either full of love and you're working for the benefit of this planet or humanity, or you're out. And ascension,
It's that simple.
word, it's not a members only club. So if you're getting duped by Stephen Greer to give him $800 to go out and point a pen laser at a stratospheric cruiser, then fine. But Ascension is not a members only club.
I'll take you somewhere a lot cheaper, and I can show you that the stuff's there.
Right.
But really, guys, if you're still looking in the sky and hoping that white light is something, I got other news for you. There's things in your dimension right around you that if you pay attention to, you can actually experience now.
Oh. God, the stuff here in my garden. And I'm not trying to slag Stephen off, bless his heart. He's actually done a lot of really great work. I mean, he's done great work at the press club, and he's put himself forward, and he's made himself a victim and a target of the U.S. government by bringing these things forward. But the man's also making a huge buck, and I'm not jealous because I don't operate on that relationship with money. I don't need money. Therefore, my needs are taken care of because I don't look for money. My life is better because I don't chase the dollar. And once you stop holding on to something, once you stop grasping onto something, you don't need to worry about it anymore. The tighter you grab something, the more easy it slips through your fingers, right? So, but it's like Ascension. Okay, whatever. If that's what you're going to call it, it's not a members only club. All you've got to do is change the way you feel about life. All you got to do is make that choice on how you're going to wake up in the morning. Who are you going to love? You're going to love yourself and make it easier to love your neighbor? Or are you going to be some miserable bastard who's only worried about, money and sex and food? Choice is yours, people. So, but there's a lot of hope.
You put out there.
There's a lot of hope. And KymJym is very proud of everybody. I'm proud of all you guys, and I'm certainly reaching out to your community too. What a lovely group of people. I've watched a lot of your previous shows. It's been about a month and a half since we spoke, and to be quite honest, I'm really impressed by your subscribers. You have some very sensitive and very astute people that watch your show, and I'm really proud of them because they themselves are movers and shakers just by the thoughts that they possess. So let's just remember, be mindful of our thoughts, always think good thoughts about other people, and remember that when you receive a gift, it's because you worked for that gift, right? The kind of gifts that we like receiving are free. They're not the kind of gift that you get by buying something. And it's a gift that can be given to others in the form of love, in the form of understanding, attention, or just a hug, right? So the message,
I don't know how to respond to that, man.
You don't have to. The messages I received from those visitations were just tremendous. They were all flashing lights, and within moments, I felt all this information coming from species I'd never met, and they were all sort of following KymJym in to go see the funny human. And it's like the last time we talked about ambassador training working for them too. Like they've never met humans, so they send them to meet us so that they can smell us, so they can sense our behavior, so that they can sense our physicality and sense the dimension in which we exist. These are all new strange things for them, boy.
Do you want, and are you willing to share a little bit more? Because other than me talking about your experience, which is not your experience, you want to talk about the last visits you had when you were watching your favorite movie.
Oh, well, there's not a whole lot more I could expound on that. I think that when, like I said, that was the first time I'd ever been frozen, and none of them had ever done that to me before, and certainly not after meeting KymJym. He set me up with that thing that they put inside of us so that we can hear each other's thoughts, so that you and I can talk and know what we're talking about. I'm telling you, they're cranking it up. But so these two entities that came into my home, they went straight into my study and started poking around. And time elapsed like 45 minutes, 50 minutes. I lost it. I was waiting for this scene in this movie I like, and then looked at my phone, looked at the TV, and the scene was on. I looked at my phone and went, oh yeah, it's gonna be another 45 minutes. I looked at the TV and the scene was on. So in between just that simple action of looking at my phone to the TV, they had absorbed that 45 minutes of snooping around. They froze me. And that was a little uncomfortable, but it wasn't some sort of feeling of dread. It was just like, we're not sure about you, so we're just going to put the kibosh on you for a minute. And I can understand why they did it. And that's when we talked about the Yeti, the reverse Yeti thing. Like, I was the stinky Yeti for them, right? I stunk, I'm big, I growl, I fart, whatever. And they're these very delicate, tiny little humanoids that have never been in a house, that have never seen a lamp or a bed or a pen and a piece of paper. They've never seen any of that stuff. So it's super curiosity time for them. I imagine them just sort of walking around, picking stuff up and talking to each other about it, putting it down, and then finally releasing me from that frozen thing, because I had to push myself hard to get off the sofa. And I heard them say, you can come in here. And then they gave me permission to take their picture. And that's a hard one thing, you know, when they come into your house and they directly speak to you. And their mouths move sometimes too, but they don't make a noise. But you hear them speaking just as clearly as I'm speaking to you. It's very strange. And the last time they came into the house, they only spoke to me for a short period of time. They allowed me to take their picture. And we saw those on Becca B's program. I know a lot of people went under her program and looked at those. They allowed me to take their picture, and they told me thank you for the exposure, which just basically meant, you know, thanks for your time. And that's when I learned that we too are ambassadors for them, because there's going to be many, many more species coming down. Oh, this reminded me. The last thing KymJym told me, even though he said there was a lot of terrible things going on the planet, he said that over 14 million humans have all had direct contact.
Say that again?
He said that over 14 million humans have already had direct contact, and that we are purposefully, of the world over, we are purposefully being kept from each other, purposefully being manipulated to not be able to contact one another. There are people in France right now that are having a lot of amazing experiences. There's people in Poland right now and in Czechoslovakia who are having amazing contact experiences where ships are landing, right? Because they're very concerned about the Ukraine conflict. There's been more ships showing up over Ukraine right now like crazy. And you have to ignore all of the other websites, guys, that are going, oh, that's because there's a giant interdimensional section under the ground there and it's connected to Atlantis and blah, blah, blah. Look, that's all BS. The only thing that's real is what they tell you. The only thing that's real is speaking to the sky over and over again until that part of the sky you're looking at has a ship that shows up that comes down and zooms down and flashes lights at you. That's what's real. Like you say, I don't want to hear about Lowell's story. I want to hear it from Lowell. This is why these other programs like the History Channel fail. Giorgio Tsoukalos. What an interesting guy. I think he's fascinating. And, you know, I think he's being manipulated by them to drop a coin, to tell people on TV about UFOs. Great. But
of course, people are hungry for this kind of information.
sure.
What they really don't understand yet, because they have had no exposure to, none of us have had any exposure to, when they start to hear about extraordinary experiences that we're really all capable of having,
Right.
because it's not within their framework, they have to dismiss it.
It will be. You see, they have to ask for it.
You're right.
They have to ask for it. These things that are happening, my contact is no different, except for where I was taken and some of my personal experiences and interactions. It's no different than the one from the health minister from Norway who quit. It's no different than the fellow that just passed away, that wonderful older man who worked for the Canadian air minister. He brought all that stuff forward. Remember him? What was his name?
I wish I could remember, but you know,
God,
more and more of these things.
I feel like such an idiot for not being able to remember his name. So there's all these amazing people who have had direct contact. And I tell you what, if you want direct contact, you guys, you'll get it. If you want it, you can have it. There's nothing wrong with having them come into your home and speak to you. All right? Get your heart right. All right? Get your heart right. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop thinking about corruption. Stop going, oh my God, did you see that a fly died in Poland and everyone's having a social issue? Stop doing that shit. All right? Clear your mind. Align your mind with your heart. Spend your life sending love. Love thy neighbor. Love yourself and spread love. Right? That's
Before
all
we go
you got
any
to do.
further, you had an acronym for your connection with KymJym.
Spiritual plasma.
No, there was another acronym you used before that.
Oh, an acronym. What do you mean, CLPT or CLPF or?
Yeah. CLPT.
Yeah,
Tell me what
continuous
that
light
stands
pulse.
for again.
Yeah, it's continuous light pulse transmission or technology, depending if you're talking about it. And then there's CLPF, which is continuous light pulse frequencies, because light's a frequency in as much as it is a wave. But
those
they send
resonate
us
with me, so I wrote them down. They're
great.
That's
They sent my
good
papers.
information.
My papers aren't ready yet. I'm going to be publishing hopefully by the end of May, and I'll be doing some work with Sheila Seppi on the Conscious Awakening Network on CAN. And Sheila's amazing. She and I just fell in love with each other because she's so genuine. But I'll be doing 4 10 or 4 15-minute university level dissertations on this technology. So there's going to be some physics. There's going to be some stuff that people go, you know, and I know it's nice to see pictures of the ships and hear about all the other mumbo jumbo that goes with it. But these are going to be 4 dissertation style lectures that I'm doing that will explain what CLPT and CLPF is, how our minds utilize the light, where it goes, and what it turns into, and then how we end up having that as a communication program that they download to us so that we can communicate with them at any time. And everyone is capable of doing CLPT and CLPF with them. And if you want that experience, they will send you the triggering flashes that open those channels up in your cognition zones. Your parietal lobes will cognate the light. It'll go down your diencephalon and it'll be distributed to your 2 cerebrum, left and right hemisphere at the same time. So all you've got to do, if you want to have contact, is to find that one thing that you can concentrate on to open your mind and your soul so that they're connected at the same time. Your heart and your mind must be connected at the same time. There isn't this, I supported that group for a while, or, oh, I really love that, but I really hate that. You can't even use those words. You have to remove all of the negative dialogue from the lexicon that you've been brainwashed with in order to speak properly, especially to them. Because if you're using words like hate, then they're not even going to want to talk to you. Because when you pay attention to something, when you pay attention to something, when you look at something, when you think, then you give that thing something. You give it that human energy and you make it alive. So I only use the word love. And if you have to use the HATE word, then just say, I have a very powerful dislike for that.
That's mindful thinking.
Right. Be mindful. Change the direction of your thoughts so that you can continue to harmonize your soul and your mind to send that signal up to the heavens. And then you won't have to do any more work. After you get that done, then it's a permanent program. Your life has changed. Ascension is over, right? Because now it's just communication.
Right.
Right.
You make it sound really simple, and that's good for people that are still kind of their awareness of this is kind of coming around. There was somebody, who reached out to me yesterday, and guy's on a tear. He's in London, and months I think he's been in, but he's in deep. And today he was going through, bits and pieces of the experience. And man, I know that I remember them. You remember them back when, will I ever finish going down these rabbit holes? And I haven't answered him with, dude, when you get down one, there's 3 more yet. I haven't had that conversation with him. But look at what the universe shows you. Really, it gets you used to something extraordinary because it's going to show you more. Wants to show you more. And the clock is ticking on how much of it wants to reveal to us now for purposes that are going to benefit everybody. All these tools and our powers are coming back to us.
Bless
Yeah.
your heart, Lowell. Absolutely. And they are gifts that we've always had. But when we became enslaved mentally about 6,000 years ago and told to follow money and told to follow sex and self-adornment and, using up Gaia to get a new Audi, using up Gaia like she's your property. No, the planet is not your property. You are supposed to be a gift. Your life form is supposed to be a gift. You were enhanced or deposited here. This is not your planet, human being. You are a member of a diaspora of millions of life forms, and you need to behave.
Yeah. I came to the conclusion a few years ago that this was an intentional reincarnation by mine when I finally came to awareness of all that. And that, I didn't come back for humanity. I love you
Sure.
all and I know I'm connected to you all. However, you're second place to my heart is here to serve Gaia, get her
Right.
through ascension in whatever method that translates to me. And that in return will translate in humanity benefits when she does. Just your metaphysical side is screaming for attention right now, gang. It's trying to force you to find that symbiosis with Earth again and just feel what it's like when you connect to her and everything beyond, because she's just waiting for you to pay attention to do that.
What a wonderful way to say it. Absolutely. I think the message is out there. And I just wanted to say that when you think of me, I hear you, Lowell. And so this is why I called you last week and we tried to connect. But then I heard you again.
Mm-hmm.
You had a little free time on your hands this morning, didn't you? And I picked up on that and gave you a call and said, hey, man, let's connect, because now it's time to talk about the energy and the love and to put it out there. So the Conscious Life Expo is coming up in Los Angeles. I'm going to be walking around as a Taurus ambassador, just observing the whole thing. And I'll be handing out good advice, because I like to hand out good advice. I have good advice for everybody. And I won't be
easier than a
speaking.
brochure.
I won't be speaking, but I will be joining some very dear friends. And I know Vivian Chauvet and Peter, her husband, will be there. So I'm going to go to support them. I know that
Do me a
Raw.
favor, tell them I miss them, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again.
I will. I know that
Vivian's on my heart.
Oh, she's such a doll. And Krista Risa and Raw. Raw will be there. So I'm going to go see him and give him a big hug.
Good.
And Mary Edwards is coming down from San Francisco, and there's going to be a whole host of amazing visitors. And this is just an example of people wanting to know more and to feel more and to be around the presence of Source. And so I'm going to channel love from Source as much as possible, but I won't be speaking publicly. But I'll be walking around just observing things, because I have to relate everything that happens to KymJym and everything that I witness. And we don't need to talk about snake oil salesmen. I know there's going to be some of those folks there too. Remember to send them love and compassion. They think that the waking up process of humanity is something to make a buck off of. And it's very sad, because they never, ever figure it out. And it's okay to have abundance. Listen, if you've had an experience and you want to write a book about it, it's okay, because we all need to generate abundance to pay our damn bills. I'm not talking about these people that have had experiences that are writing books that want to get the message out. They're ambassadors. They're doing the right thing. And please buy their books, because they have to pay their bills. Listen, people, when you come forward and you say, well, I was taken away on an interstellar conveyance to the Taurus cloud, and there I met over 150 different species personally and spoke to over 2,000 about the planet Earth. When you come home from a trip like that and you start saying those things, all your friends leave you, you lose your job, and everyone laughs at you when you walk down the street. I went through that. That doesn't make me special. I'm not a hero, but I'm just telling you, this isn't a big stinking lie. This is when they have this experience with you, it's like God picking you up by your shirt and putting you against a wall. And it rattles you to the core. But then you realize that wall that God is shoving you against opens up like a door.
Yeah. He's just trying to push you in the right direction on things that your inner being has been trying to get your attention for anyhow. Really, you were right when you said that we are no longer a no interference. We're not in that realm anymore. That
Right.
all the galactic assistance is coming our way because the cry to show what we could do to the planet. It looks like we're headed toward maybe doing that again, and they're not going to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
She is in a phase where she's adjusting to the next thing. She
Yes.
doesn't need the critters crawling on her to
Right.
cause any more damage than we already have.
I've received the image of humanity being seen as a flesh-like plague that spreads across the surface of Gaia.
Yeah, don't remind me what was said in the Matrix, for goodness sakes.
So, well, the reality is what you decide to make of it. But we only have one mission, Lowell, and that's to help people wake up and to give love and to be there and to listen and to be proud of people and to give them a slap on the back or a big hug when our friends and the strangers that come to us have a story to share, help them understand and help them translate it. But let them light their own fire. Let them make the choice for themselves. It's very important that we don't give directions, only give guidance.
We're here to remind people they're sovereign beings, really. That's what I want to get through to you first. So from there, your contributions on what your mind produces is going to be what you're going to contribute to the rest of us. And I love you. I'm connected to you. I want nothing but the best for you because somehow you're learning a lesson on all of our behalf that I wasn't supposed to learn. Thank you for learning it.
Oh, thank you for sharing your life with me. You are my brother and my father and my sister and my lover and my best friend. And everything about you is just makes me want to hang out with you and support you because you are a decent man. And my son, William, sends you his regards, by the way. He sends you love and hopes that you're doing okay. We kind of miss you out there on the frozen Northeast.
Yeah, look, two things. I've got to figure out a way that I can come and see you two guys because we had such a short amount of time, one-on-one when we were in Shasta, that somehow I just feel like we're supposed to go back there. And maybe we will.
I think that maybe we can time this for maybe not 23, but 24. And, Patricia, our friend, has picked up a wonderful healing center that she's going to turn into something very special. And so we need to make sure that we reach out to Patricia with our thoughts and our hearts, and we send her the powerful love of acceptance from Gaia and the powerful love from the Galactic Council and the Planetary Alliance. All of these special groups are working in mankind's favor. Don't be afraid if somebody laughs at you because it's your life and your decision. I'm going for love. I'm going for love 100%. And if you're not in love with the planet and you're not in love with the message of love, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, 3D Earth was beautiful. It was beautiful before our thoughts about newer Earth coming. And my focus is definitely on that. But hey, in the amount of time that you got left, you ought to enjoy this while we still have it.
You betcha. 3D Earth is still really pretty. 4D Earth is just amazing. It's like, none of the animals have been slaughtered. All the water's drinkable. I mean, it's just happening too. We're heading that way. And it's a beautiful thing. And remember that we're just critters on the surface. So don't get enthralled or sucked into any of those catastrophe ideas. It's okay. Whatever happens, Gaia knows what's best for mankind. And if she decides to rattle and roll or send some tidal waves or there's a micronova on the sun, it's okay. Because when your heart's in the right place, none of that stuff matters either because we're with Source. So we get to go. We transcend. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Wow, you get on a tear, don't you?
Well, I'm Dad Adult Dave.
Well, you are. So I think we should stop there because I'm going to get this out there in a few hours. People need to hear from you.
All right.
And I don't get to see you often enough. I'll make my way so that I see you and William soon because there's just more that we need to exchange face to face. And I don't know that I ever sent you, but remember the night we were all having dinner and you pulled out whatever those little drums, whatever they're called, you started playing
my tabla.
Yeah, I was
tabla.
recording those in the background. I got a couple of
Oh,
sound
far out.
bites for you, and you should have them.
That's great. Well, you know what? I got to make a tabla recording because I might want to open up this dissertation I'm doing with some live music. And, you know, I can't get any strikes for copyright infringement if I play my own music. I've been playing
It's
tabla
exactly
for
right.
30 years. I
Well,
love Indian
sometimes
music.
it takes your friends to send things back to you when they're your stuff to go, hey, Dave, you should listen to this. Okay.
Well, I'm going to let Sheila Seppi at the CAN Network go over my dissertations first because I'd like to release them on her channel. She has some really loving, enigmatic, super special guests, and she herself, she's what's known as a walk-in. And I didn't know much about walk-ins. Very curious stuff, kind of like you a little bit. You're kind of a walk-in too, and not just walking into Talos, but walking into your new self. And
Yeah,
it's just sort of,
I know what you mean by that, and that's a
she's
relatively new
amazing.
concept that kind of came around to me too. And I went, oh wait, yeah, maybe.
Right. And it's so fun. Okay, so everybody, before I go, I just want to say first contact is when they take their finger and they touch the palm of your hand. And if you want to meet them and your heart and your mind are in the right place, lay very quietly in bed at home. Make sure there's no interruptions. Turn all the lights out, draw the curtains on your window, and do some deep breathing. And just as you start sliding into lucid sleep, ask them, say, I know that you're present. You may touch my hand. And do this over and over again. It might take a couple weeks, might take a couple months, but eventually you lay there on your bed, on your back with your palm up, you're going to feel a finger touch the center of your palm. Don't open your eyes. And the reason I don't want you to open your eyes is human beings are oftentimes very powerfully controlled by their pre-brains. And so you have a fear flight response. And when you have a very unique sentient species from another world who has extremely different physicality than your own, it can oftentimes be quite shocking. So don't open your eyes. Just ask them to very gently touch the palm of your hand with their finger. That's called first contact. That's first contact. Okay. It'll happen if you want it. Now is the time to ask, guys. Everybody's receiving gifts. We're all at different levels of understanding. Just concentrate on connecting your heart to the purest form of thought that your mind can have, and start working on eliminating those thoughts of food, sex, and money, because they don't really help us evolve, and perhaps put them in the perspective that they deserve to be put into, so that you can grow intellectually as well as spiritually as we go through this process of new awakening. Lowell, I love you so much. Make sure that you call anytime that you want. I know my ears ring when you're thinking of me, so I'll always call you too.
Attaboy. I love you to death. I'll see you soon. And I'll have this out for everybody else to listen to, because I think it's important. Thank you for, at the end, the way that you kind of described somebody and how they connect. Because I get people that ask me that question all the time. You know, how do I get where you are? How do I connect the way that you did? And really, that was the best illustration I've heard in a long time. That's going to help somebody.
Lovely. Well, I only want to be of service to the community. I love all of you guys very much with tremendous love, and that love transcends this reality, and it comes from above too. I'm just trying to be a conduit for the message of hope for all of humanity. I love you too, Lowell. You have a terrific day.
Roger that, pal. Over and out.
Peace.